The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Current and Joseph Christina as they serve up the hottest photography news and commentary.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 154. I'm Joseph Christina here with my co-host Trevor Current. On last week's episode, we spoke about Amazon patenting a shooting method we all use, live video streaming from outer space, and an interesting side-by-side video comparison between the Galaxy Note 3 and the Canon 5D Mark III. If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at digitalphotographycafe.com and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/dphotocafe. Listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps, or subscribe through iTunes or RSS.
Hey, Joe. How you doing, man?
Good, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Hanging in
Excellent.
there. Can't complain too much.
No complaints here either. We're moving forward. We have a big show this week. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, we do. We actually had to
questions.
cut a bunch of stuff out.
I know. We're
Try
going to have to
try and squeeze it all in our time allotment here.
I know. So let's jump right straight into it. So we're going to start out with a listener voicemail, which came through that was just really interesting, and he provides a little scoop for us. So let's go ahead and play that right away.
Good morning, boys. Very nice voicemail you guys have left there. Hey, this is Fred Pfeiffer from Chicago, a long-time loyal listener, and I think I've called you a number of times before. I want to tell you guys that good news out of Chicago is that Calumet Photo has reopened its store in Oak Brook, and it will soon open its stores in Chicago. You'll recall these boys' 75-year-old brand had filed bankruptcy way back in March of this year. About 2 weeks ago, Richfield Park, New Jersey-based C&A Marketing, Inc. salvaged the 70-year-old brand from bankruptcy court by paying about $4 million for 5 stores, including the one in Oak Brook, Illinois, and the one in Chicago. So for guys like us, photographers, it's great to have a place to come back to where we can rent our cameras and talk photography with people who really are in the know. So I thought you guys might want to know that and report it on your show. The Oak Brook store reopened with the same staff, which is good news. People didn't lose their job. 10 workers and the same equipment on the shelf. So we have a great place to rent Nikons and Canons and Hasselblads and whatever. A new addition is also being planned by Ritz Pix, the owner, an imaging system that allows customers to use their images to create cards, books, albums, and other stuff. The store also will start to carry more higher-end equipment, such as the Mamiya and the Hasselblad brands. The Oak Brook store, as you may have read, was the most forward-thinking store, camera store anywhere in the Midwest, and we are really excited that it's open again and a place where we can go rent our stuff. So I thought I'd share that with you guys, and as always, great job in reporting every Monday morning. Look forward to it as always. All right, boys, enjoy the summer, stay cool, and rock on. Ciao.
Awesome. See that? Fred just provides the scoop of what's going on, right?
Yeah, that's great information. That's really good to see that brick and mortars are actually coming back. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
You know, the trend has been going the opposite direction, but it's really cool to see Calumet come back at least in the 2 locations right now with 3 more to go.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I like the idea that they're keeping the staff on, that they're bringing back the product, that someone saw the value in this old times shop, and decided to rescue it, so to speak. So $4 million, 5 stores for this CNA marketing people.
Yeah, they're right here in New Jersey by me.
Yeah, kudos to them. Thank goodness the Calumet was rescued, so to speak, from bankruptcy. It's just good. It's definitely good. And like Fred was saying, having some place to go and actually see the equipment, look at old gear, look at film gear, buy developer or whatever, and then go, of course, rent the highest end Hasselblads and Mamiyas and all the rest of the gear from a location. It's just really cool, and being able to go there and talk to people friendly folks about photography and photography gear and just, shoot it. It's just cool. It's a great thing. And as we lose more and more of these small shops that just can't keep alive because of the Amazons and the B&H's and all the rest of them out there, it's a kind of a sad thing because now you're only shopping online and you don't have that nice discussion with people that possibly been shooting 20, 30, 40 years that work there. It's just cool.
No, that's right. I mean, for those of us who have been in the photography industry for quite a few years, I mean, this is what we grew up with,
right.
And people who are kind of getting started now and in the world of digital may never have experienced that. So it's good to see these types of places still existing, coming back into business. We're right here by B&H in New York. I mean, that's a huge store. So,
right.
You can go in there and talk with people any time of the day practically, about photography. But, unless you have a big shop like that around you, you just can't.
Yeah. It's like a kid going to Toys R Us or something. It's like it's our Toys R Us. You can go in there and see all the gear and talk shop and talk gear. It's just fun. Anyways, moving forward, I'm a fan of shooting all flashes off camera. That's just the way you should do it. If you're not doing it that way, you should be. It sets you apart from these folks that are just leaving the flash on the camera, and you end up with this similar light every situation. Everything looks the same. Anyways, Pocket Wizard was my radio of choice for many, many years, back from the manual days of Pocket Wizard, which is great. Then they moved into TTL Pocket Wizards. Well, they're expensive, and not everyone coming up in photography can afford, 3-4 Pocket Wizards. It's just a great
plus
expense.
The flashes to go with them.
Plus the flashes and everything. Yeah. So we're always looking for smaller versions of this or cheaper versions. There's some Chinese brands that we've bought in the past just to test out and do reviews on. And honestly, they work for a short period of time, then they break, or they're not great. Well, I think it's Cactus, right, that come up with version 6 of their triggers just recently.
Yeah, which is really cool. It's an updated version of what they have.
Right.
Yeah, this is good. I mean, last week we talked about a Indiegogo thing for small flash units called FlashQ. So we've got this other one now updated. They're a kind of a smaller format, not as small as FlashQ. They're a little bit bigger, but they still don't take up a ton of real estate. They give you a ton of control too. I mean, I'm not really a flash person, but Joe, I mean, you could probably relate more to the features that they have in these units.
Yeah, so these things are bigger, more bulky than this FlashQ that we talked about in Indiegogo thing not yesterday, but last week. These are larger, but they give you a lot more capabilities, like you're saying. You're able to set them as manual and be able to shoot at 1/10, 1/3, 1/2, or 1 EV, which is neat. What I like about them is that they are TTL. Now, TTL, whenever you have TTL pass through, it's usually an expensive proposition. Shooting manual triggers like the FlashQ and all the rest of them, it's just an on-off switch. That's basically all that it is, guys, on-off. It fires off a signal and says turn something on, turn it off. That's it. These are actually fully controllable. They work on Canon, Nikon, Olympus, Panasonic, Pentax, Fuji, on and on and on as TTL pass-through units. So they also have 4 groups. So you have group A, B, C, and D. So you have full control of multiple groups of lights, which is very important, especially for me. It looks very interesting, very, very interesting. And the thing that's amazing is they're like 50 some bucks.
Yes.
So, for that kind of money, for a TTL type of unit like this is something that I would like to get my hands on and take a look at it and possibly review and get back to you guys. So we'll see.
It's one of those worth, dropping a few bucks to get at least one transmitter and receiver and test it.
Yeah. This looks very, very promising, but we'll kind of get back to you guys with it. It's something to take a look at. Once again, Cactus version 6 is their latest and greatest trigger. So check it out. Moving forward, Canon announces brand new straight lens and f4, which is my favorites. I don't like the meandering, like we always say. It's a 16-35. You like it, Trev? What do you think?
Yeah, it's an L lens too, so it's USM, so it's image stabilized, wide angle, which is great. for full frame, DSLRs. The image stabilization offers 4 stops of shake reduction, which is great. Right. It's available in June, but you got to have $1,200 to play. So,
well, Canon lenses. Anytime you get L glass, you're going to pay that. And the same thing with the Nikkor stuff. You're going to pay top dollar for that glass, and rightfully so. I mean, they put a lot of time and effort into it. It's quality. If you don't have that, there's many alternatives out there that we've talked about in the past. But for a nice wide straight f4, I like it. The price is pretty much dead on. I mean, I'm going to think that they might go down a little bit, maybe after a year, to maybe $900, $899 or something like that. But at $1199 coming out the gate, that's right where it should be for an image stabilized f4 straight glass lens. And I'm going to guess this is probably going to be a little heavy.
Oh yeah, it's going to be some weight. It's going to be. Sure.
It's going to have some meat to it. So no complaints about the meat for sure. So moving on, I know you are a diver, and we've talked about it in the past. And diving was something that you haven't done it recently, but you absolutely love diving. I know you were down where I am, down by the Keys, down in Florida, diving all over the place.
Yeah.
And this next product kind of lends itself to possibly something that you might use maybe in the future, right?
Yeah. So Nikon announced the one of their Nikon 1 series, the J4, which is a capable camera. It's 18 megapixels, CX format sensor. It's got a improved hybrid autofocusing system, which is good. It's supposedly coming out in May, so this month. But what I really like is they have, a really nice waterproof housing for it and waterproof speedlight, which, they're expensive from the standpoint that, this isn't going to be an impulse buy. If you're a casual diver looking to take some pictures, you might be better off just using a GoPro or something like that. But if you are a serious diver and you want to actually make some money with your photography, let's say, this may be the way to go. They have them in multiple colors. You can get black, white, silver, and orange. I mean, a nice orange one to put in one of these waterproof cases may actually be nice. It makes it a little bit more visible when you're diving. And, you can get into the body with a 10 to 100 millimeter lens on it for a little over $1,000.
Right.
You can get the what do they have, a 10 to 30 millimeter for with the body for $600.
Right.
So that's not bad.
Not bad.
The cost comes in the waterproof cases and stuff. I mean, the case is $750.
I know they're really expensive. Whenever you deal with waterproof cases, as soon as you, it's just expensive. $750 for a waterproof case. $750 if you want to put a waterproof speed light on it also.
Yep.
So altogether, you're looking at $1,500 plus another, let's say $1,100 or thereabouts. So you're getting up to close to $3,000. So is it something that is for everyone? No, like you say, a pro would probably look into this. But just think about saying that. We're looking at a pro camera as something that's $1,000 these days because we're adding on pro accessories that are available for that camera.
Right.
So it's an interesting time that we live in now. You don't have to go and buy the 5D Mark III or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 and throw a waterproof case. You can get one of these small Nikon 1s and probably do the same thing for a lot cheaper, a lot lighter. And I love the orange color. I mean, that would be perfect underwater. You'll be able to see it. You don't have to worry about miss dropping or whatever. I mean, that's going to be pretty bright. So I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's pretty cool. I've played with underwater photography before. It is a challenge. I mean, it's something that you need to practice. You need to work at. But it is really cool. And if you're in an area where there's a demand for underwater photography, this might be some new gear to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. So more about gear. Sony announces pricing finally. We've talked about the Alpha 7S. We said that there was gremlins underneath the hood that they needed to work out.
Right.
And it seems like it's our hope that they did work them out. Well, the pricing we can get back to everyone now is released. It's going to be about $2,500.
Yep.
So not cheap. Sony Alpha 7S. Look into that if you're into the Sony stuff. I'm sure it's going to be a very good camera. Anyways, we have a lot more for you guys, but before we go any further, let's go ahead and hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
All right, so we're back, and Adobe Creative Cloud makes news again, but unfortunately not for a good reason.
Adobe's in the news all the time, right? It seems lately. What's going on?
Oh, man. I tell you, it's like every time we talk about Adobe Creative Cloud, it sounds like we're bashing it, and it's
Yeah.
But, this time again, they had a failure of their Creative Cloud service. Apparently, it was down for 24 hours. People weren't able to log in. Their user IDs and passwords were not working. You couldn't create a new user ID or a password. Basically, if you had stuff stored in there or you needed access to files or what have you, wasn't working. And that's not a good thing, considering most of us rely on Adobe products for our businesses.
Yeah, Adobe pushing us as they have into the cloud, doing the Adobe CC. That's all you hear is Adobe CC.
Yep.
Fluctuating the price to get us on board, lowering the price, keeping it low for more months than they originally planned, and on and on and on to get us in there.
Yep.
There should not be any outages at all for Creative Cloud. There should be no outages. You go to Google, it's 100% uptime for their cloud stuff. What is the story? They are a tech-based company. And I just don't understand. This tech-based company just a few months ago somehow lost 38 million username and passwords that ended up showing up on the web.
Yeah,
So-
we reported on that.
Yeah, we reported on that too. So I don't know. I don't know what is going on with Adobe. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. So we were reading just earlier that there's a designer he's working on, or an illustrator or someone, he's a designer of some kind. He's working on a project, and that project used a certain font. So chances are he probably was working at home. And let's say at the office, he also works on the project. So his fonts are in the cloud. So this way he can access those fonts from anywhere, any computer, from any state, location, any country.
Yeah.
He has access to them because they're probably very important to him. And what happens? This is down. Creative Cloud is down. He doesn't have access to any of his fonts. So he's now stuck. He can't complete a project until they get their crap straight, so to speak. This is problematic. Of course, people will say, oh, well, if it's important, he should have it on his local. Yeah, maybe he should have it local. But if they're going to sell this product as the end-all, be-all, throw it all up on the cloud, we want all of it. Give us all of it. We're going to have it for you anywhere, anytime, any place. Well, They need to do that.
Yeah, it needs to work. No technology is 100% foolproof. Even with desktop software, we occasionally run into a glitch. But the fact that we're paying as much money as we have to pay for Creative Cloud, and because it's professional grade software, we're not talking about, consumer grade apps here, or like iOS apps or something that cost $1. We're looking at, $50+ a month for the Creative Suite editions here. So you damn well expect this stuff to work. And I am not on Creative Cloud right now, but I probably will be very soon because, I'm in the market now. Unfortunately, I have to upgrade hardware. I'm just reaching that point. And in doing so, what do? Do I install the old version of Creative Suite, 5 on new machines? Or do I go the Creative Cloud route and make sure that I'm, compatible with all the other, ad agencies and design studios and stuff that I work with, that I exchange files with? I'm probably going to have to do that. Well, I tell you what, I mean, I'm going to have the software obviously running locally. I'm going to make sure I have my fonts running locally. That's a necessity. That's mandatory.
Right.
And especially in light of this designer's story, I'm definitely not keeping, mission critical stuff in the cloud only.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of people are where you are. They are, let's say, at the end of the life of a machine. They need to upgrade hardware, and they say, well, what do I do? Do I reinstall the old software, or do I go into get the Creative Cloud stuff and start paying a monthly fee, which I never have done in the past? So it's this push-pull thing. And when you see and hear stuff like this, it just makes you wonder. It makes you a little bit fearful of what will happen if you do go that route and you end up having a problem. And like you said, there's always things to do. Keep stuff local, on and on. There's always things that you can do. Have a Thunderbolt drive or a USB 3 drive with those fonts that are in your backpack at all times, and you can just plug it in. And now it doesn't have to be on your main machine, but you have it still with you. There's always something to do to remedy a situation. The problem is you don't know the to remedy the situation. You don't know that this could possibly happen. What are you going to do? This is the kind of what it is, and it is kind of is what it is. We want to know what you're going to do, Trev. Once you do it, we're definitely going to report on it and see what you did. Did you go old school and install the old DVDs, or did you go new school and go Creative Cloud? We're definitely going to want to hear from you what you did.
Well, that's it. But it's compatibility with the OS and the hardware as well. Right. I mean, I did some research, and I believe CS5 is compatible with Mavericks. And with the new hardware, but the problem is, for how much longer will it be compatible? Exactly. So I mean, I might be able to dodge the bullet a little bit longer and run my old software, but it's going to be limited. So, I'm probably going to have to go the Creative Cloud thing, as reluctant as I am to do so. Right. And I'm really, I mean, this scares the crap out of me. The fact that this went down like this and potentially, could cause some serious problems for me. I mean, a client does not want to hear that, Adobe Creative Cloud went down, you couldn't get your work done. I mean, that's like, the dog ate my homework excuse, it's, that's not going to fly, especially when you've got to get a project out,
Yeah. So, and I mean, I could feel for this guy with the fonts, because we know that fonts are huge. Oh, yeah. And if you're sitting, if you're using a, let's say a notebook, like an Air, perfect example, that doesn't have a lot of space on it. Right. Inherently, it just doesn't. And you're having to use external sources all the time. Well, it'd be pretty cool to go stick 3, 4, 5 gigs of fonts up in the cloud, and then you have them accessible anytime, anywhere. Right. I mean, I can understand that. I can feel for them. But we have to be careful, and we have to, dot our I's and cross our T's when we're dealing with mission critical stuff. We need to make sure that if there is something that's going to be due, perfect example is when I'm working on a project and it has to go to press. Well, there is no two ways about it. If press is for a Wednesday and that's when the magazine drops, or when that's when the newspaper drops, it needs to be there. If it's not there, the client will be on me for not getting it there on time. Right. And what will happen is they will lose out a ton of possible advertisement eyes, let's say, on the event. Yeah. So it is just critical, absolutely critical, that things happen on a timely basis. And I'm sure same with this designer. Something is due. Mm-hmm. It needs to go to press on a certain date or a certain time. You can't do it. The dog ate the homework is not going to work. You're going to lose that client. They might be with you to the end of the project, but I guarantee you the next project comes along, they're going to find someone more reliable. Yeah. Well, that's exactly right. You talk about press, you talk about printing. In the print business, we have the press operators, of course, but then you have the pre-press people in the print houses. They're preparing the artwork for the plates. The plates go on the presses. The artwork needs to be done by a certain time so the plates can be generated. Big print houses, they schedule press time. I mean, down to like a few minutes.
And,
Absolutely.
if you're unable to get your plates made because you can't access fonts through Adobe Creative Cloud, then that's going to throw off your whole print production schedule. It's going to throw off press time and everything. I mean, if you're working that close to the wire, I mean.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. Most of these are
last
that
minute
close
changes come in from a client, They, at the pre-press stage where they need to go fix a typo or replace an image or something. So this is a problem. I mean, companies like that will have procedures put in place for mission critical stuff. They will be running everything locally that they can. They're not going to rely on Adobe's cloud to store their files and stuff like that. They may have a backup there or whatever, but
Right.
just to think too, Adobe, they have their cloud, that's fine. But remember Google Drive, remember Amazon S3. These are two cloud locations that you can store files in that are not specifically Adobe Cloud. I mean, we talked about Google Drive, right? A few weeks ago. They give you 15 gigs of storage. I mean, that'll fill up fast if you try and upload a lot of your files there, but you can buy more space should you desire, or you can use it at least for temporary space for a project that you're working on, then clear it off. I mean, that's what we do.
And Amazon S3, another stellar option for cloud availability. And I have not so far seen Amazon Cloud down or Google Cloud down ever. I mean, have you? I don't think.
I mean,
so.
yeah. I mean, they do go down, but the amount of downtime is minimal.
No, we're talking
definitely not 24 hours.
No. Yeah, we're talking like minutes or seconds. Definitely. And usually it's regional based because we know Google, I mean, I know personally from personal experience of being in the NOC Network Operations Center near me down in Boca Raton, there's Google racks and racks and racks there. And the other center up in Port St. Lucie, same thing, Google racks and racks and racks. So if there's a downtime, it's going to be very small, short period of time, and it's going to be very regional. It's going to be very localized, that downtime. It won't be a nationwide down for a company like that. So, yeah. I agree with you. I would definitely recommend if you need to go cloud with any type of files, I just wouldn't do it with Adobe. That's just my personal opinion. Go somewhere else with it. You really don't need to go with them. So I don't know. We'll see what you're going to do. For me, I'm still on the fence too. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with the studio because we have so many machines here. What we're going to do, we're still waiting to see. And this kind of stuff definitely adds to the pot to turn, so to speak. So people say, well, what do we do? All right. Is there any alternatives? We've talked about alternatives in the past. I think it's a good time to talk about a few alternatives. So
whenever we get news like this, it's always a good time to talk about alternatives.
Yeah.
Right?
So we've said this before. I have used this product in the past. Photoshop alternative, absolutely probably the best out there would be GIMP.
Yeah.
That is a cross-platform application. You can use it on Linux. You could use it in Windows. You could use it in Mac. So what's good about it is if you learn it, you've learned it. It doesn't matter if you're in Linux. Doesn't matter if you're in the Apple or OS or if you're in Windows. It's the exact same program. So it's GIMP.
Yeah, and
GIMP.
it's free too.
And it's free.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's not just a kind of good alternative. It's a really good alternative.
Yeah.
So also Illustrator called Inkscape. Another really good illustration software. I know you're into the Illustrator and InDesign and whatnot. You could probably speak better about that. But my understanding is Inkscape does a very, very good job to be similar to Illustrator.
Yeah. I would have to see it. I haven't played with it. I'd really have to look at it to see if it would be up to my production level, which I'm really not sure, to be honest with you.
Right.
But and then InDesign, we got Lucid Press is the name of a good alternative. Premiere Pro, we have a program called Lightworks, and then there's another one that's Caden Live, I guess, KDEN Live,
Right.
LIVE.
Exactly. I've actually used Caden Live. It works pretty well. I've had some freezing and whatnot, some oddities. There is definitely gremlins underneath the hood, and you definitely don't want to water them or expose them to light. But it's not bad. It is definitely an alternative. and it works on both Mac and Linux, that Kdenlive, whereas Lightworks is solely a Windows-based alternative to Premiere Pro. So going on, one of my favorite alternatives out there is called Darktable, and that is a Lightroom alternative. And I absolutely love Lightroom. I have over 1 million shots in Lightroom, so trust me, I use it continuously ever since version 1 from the very beginning. But if I was to use an alternative, Darktable is definitely it. You guys go take a look at it. It's Darktable is also one of those that works on both Linux and Mac, and it's darktable.org. You can go and take a look at it. I think it's also free. The feature set is vast. It does denoise. It does all of the stuff that we just want and need Lightroom to do. Right. This program does also. Check this out. Definitely really good.
Yeah. And then if you're an After Effects user, if you're doing video and stuff, check out Blender. I downloaded Blender years ago and played with it a little bit. It was more than what I needed at the time, so I really didn't do much more with it. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out these free alternatives. If you're a small studio, a one-man shop, you can't necessarily afford Adobe Creative Cloud per month. Look at one of the freebie options, play with it a little bit, see if it's going to work for your needs. If it doesn't, then go to Creative Cloud. But, for now, it's at least worth looking into.
Yeah, it's always good to look at alternatives for sure. So anyways, before we leave, we want to give you something free like we always do. But this one is really interesting. It used to be a paid app for iOS, and it's a camera app. And it's really unbelievable. It's called ProCam. This is version 2. It used to be paid, like I said. Now it is absolutely free. We're going to put a link to the app in the show notes. But this is unbelievable. The control that you have over your both video and still photos through your iPhone. It's absolutely unbelievable. 40 plus filters, 17 live lens filters. So you're shooting video with filters on it. 2-finger tapping to change exposure and to change the exact location of focus. Manual exposure, white balance. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, the feature list is pretty long.
Yeah, it's definitely worth taking a look at. Very much so.
And it's free. You can't go wrong.
Free's for me.
All right, cool. Well, lots of information, Joe, but I think it's time to go.
It is time.
Yeah, so if people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
You can find me on Twitter, and that's at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H.
Great, and you can connect with me on Twitter. It's at Trevor Curran.
So, all right, everyone, we are out of here for yet another week. You can get all the show notes from this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/154. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/dphotocafe. And we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe show with Trevor Curran and Joseph Christina. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with any compatible device by visiting youtube.com/dphotocafe. Be sure to subscribe to our audio feed through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps or through RSS. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your hosts.